guys hear that? I was starting to film and I heard something. Yeah. What's that? Welcome back to the Panic Room, everyone, for another book review. Now you might be asking yourself, Pax, where the hell is my vlog? Well, you don't get one for this book. No, it's Halloween. We had to change some stuff up. This is a special Halloween book review. It's the most wonderful time of the year. We have to celebrate. No, there's a lot of special stuff going on in this video. First, I was challenged to read The Ruins by David over at David's Book Reviews. His info will be down below. Go check him out. And another thing that's special is I actually made a point to sit down and watch the movie before filming. So we're going to have that little element here as well. And if you're wondering why I did that, lots of reasons. Number one is I read, and I don't know how true this is, I read that The Ruins screenplay was written before the book, which I thought was interesting, and it made me want to see, like, why? And I noticed that there was a lot of changing up, you know, characters, like the way things happen to them and whatnot. I don't know why. Now, I did have some other motivations for watching the movie. Number one was I saw that Jenna Malone was in it. She plays Amy. And I personally have loved Jenna Malone for a while. Most people know her from The Hunger Games. I live with an 11-year-old girl. Yes, I have seen The Hunger Games. I know her from this movie, Bastard Out of Carolina. Now, before I go any further, trigger warning. Big, red trigger warning. If you decide to go watch this movie, just know that it deals with some dark shit, okay? And I mean, like, dark. Like, abuse, terrible, horrible things that should never happen to anyone, let alone a child. And Jenna Malone plays the main character, Bone. And I think she does a great job with the character in this movie. To be as young as she is and to have this shit happen to this character that happens, holy hell. Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. It really is. But, oh my God, you're sitting there at the end like, wow. Wow. You know, like, you just, no words, okay? So, like I said, big flaming trigger warning if you decide to go watch that movie. But I've liked her. I've appreciated her acting in the little bit that I've seen her since I saw her in that movie. Now, I don't make a point to go watch a whole lot of movies, so take that for what it is. Now, the second reason, don't judge me, is I saw that Shawn Ashmore is also in the movie, The Ruins. And Shawn Ashmore played the character of Jake in the Nickelodeon Animorphs TV series. I said don't judge me. But I digress. So, I did want to watch the movie to kind of compare and contrast. In true historical fashion, it, of course, was not anywhere close to as good as the book, in my opinion. But I did like to see the visual representation of some of the things that were occurring in the book. Mostly the vines, obviously. And there were a lot of scenes in the book that I was surprised didn't make it into the movie. Yeah, especially with the flowers. I wanted to see a lot more of that. But anyway, let's jump into the book. And I have one big, huge reason that I love this book and 4 small reasons that I don't. So, to start with the reasons I don't, it would be all 4 characters. I didn't like them. I didn't like any of them. Know-it-all, a ditz, I didn't like any of them. I was rooting for the Vine from the very beginning. But that's okay. That's okay. If you guys remember in, I think it was the Rapid Fire book tag, there was a question that said plot or characters. And I don't know what I said. I'm pretty sure I said like some combination of the two. This book is a good representation of how a fantastic plot can still carry a book if the characters aren't that great. And I just didn't like them. I didn't like them as people, you know, and they had me on a little bit of a roller coaster with some of them, like Jeff. You know, I feel like there were points where he was trying to save their asses, but he just sort of came off as a know-it-all. Don't even get me started on Stacy. I grew up in the 90s with the whole, like, clueless, you know, mall blonde, like, She is the ditziest character I think I've ever read. Yeah. I would have thrown her in the vines after a while. Yeah. The scene, okay. Of course there's going to be, if you want to call these spoilers, fine. I don't feel like I'm ruining the book. But the scene where she goes to pee and then comes back and pours the water on her foot because she said she peed on her foot, but they don't have hardly any water left, I would have smacked a bitch. Oh my God. I literally remember I like put the book down. It was on my Kindle. I like put the book down and I was like, I'd be having some like Stacy ribeyes that night for dinner. Yeah, you just poured my water on your pee-soaked foot? No. No. Come and get her, Vines. It was enjoyable to read about their death. It was. And through their eyes, we got to know more about the vine. And that is the true star of the show. The true star of the show is this vine. And the mystery that surrounds it. I say it in every video. You guys know I love me some world building. Sometimes, if it's executed well, the lack of world building adds a little to the story. That was the case here. You don't find out where the hell these vines came from, why they can do what they do, nothing, nada, nothing. And it leaves you with this like foreboding sense of why. And I love it. It was executed beautifully, beautifully, loved it. And that leads me into the big reason why I would recommend this book, why I loved this book, is tension. I have never in my life read a book that was able to keep a steady level of tension through 400 and some pages and do it well. It didn't even have chapter breaks. And I like to think, I hope that that was by design. I do. Because you have no chapters in this book. You have like a little space and then your narrator changes, which you get a different perspective, which I like that. I like that in books. Because you get to see it through different eyes. Not that any of these eyes were intelligent in this particular instance, but I digress. Yeah, you didn't have any break for the reader. There was not a moment where the reader got to go, no, no. And it did it so well. So well. There was never like a laggy time with the tension, and that was one of the biggest drawbacks of the movie, which movies, they just can't. They just cannot compete with books in this regard, because one of the biggest things in the book is that you get this internal like torture that these characters are going through about like starvation and viewing death for the first time and having to deal with, you know, like wounds and blood and all of this shit. And you don't get that really in the movie. You know, it's just like, oh shit, Stacy, it's there's pee on your foot, like, and that's about it. You don't get this internal monologue that some of the characters have in the book. So yeah, you don't get that tension. I guess that's the big thing. I guess that's, at the end of the day, that is what was missing in the movie, is the tension building. You can only get that from the book. Now, I guess I kind of have to bite my tongue a little bit. There was one character that I didn't mind, and that was Matthias. But he was sort of secondary to our four idiots. And yeah, I was kind of sad about him. But, you know, our four idiots, they can feed the vine all day long. Oh, and again, maybe spoiler, maybe not. Depends on how you want to define spoiler. Can we talk about the vines mimicking sounds? I loved that. I was like, oh shit. This is awesome. Awesome. Especially when they tried to get Eric to think that Stacy was cheating on him. I was like, oh great, the vines are 15-year-old girls. Anyway, yeah, tension. If you like tension in your books, in your horror novels, and you haven't read this, you need to. You need to. And not to mention, there's some wonderful body horror too. A little something about me. I don't like, I will say it doesn't scare me, but it, for lack of a better way to put it, gets under my skin. I don't like the wriggling, like maggots or worms or shit like that. And the idea of them like in your skin freaks me out in the best possible way. But it does freak me out. So all the scenes with Eric and the shit inside of him, I was like, oh, yes, give me more. And then in the movie, that was one of the things I really wanted to see in the movie, was how they did that. And they changed it up. I think it was Stacy in the movie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Stacy in the movie. And that scene, there's one scene in the movie that I was like, oh shit, yeah. And it's like the camera is behind Stacy, looking towards the tent as I think it's Jeff and Matthias come out. And you see, she's like tore herself all to hell. And you see one of the vines like in her muscle, like through the wound, move. Ah, beautiful body horror shit right there, man. I loved it. Loved it. It was awesome. So, was the movie anything to write home about? Nah. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I mean, it's not something that I would like make a point to sit down and watch again, but you know, if it was on, I don't hate it. It was fine. The book, on the other hand, yes, I would greatly recommend anyone who has seen the movie, hell, hasn't seen the movie, to read this book, because it has a really good combo of body horror, and the tension is just off the charts. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And if you are like me and you're like, it's plants packs, how horrific can it be? It can be. It can. Trust me. It can. So guys, anyway, thanks so much for coming to the Panic Room for a special Halloween-esque version of a book review. Please like, subscribe. It would really help me out. And until next time, happy Halloween. Bye for now.